Welcome back. In this video we're going to look at the newest announcement of AWS CodeBuild from March and February 2025. AWS CodeBuild is a service that can be used to build and deploy, and manage and test applications that you deploy and that you want to run. It's in devtools provided and developed by AWS and runs within your AWS account. Cool, let's dive into it. The first one that I've picked is AWS CodeBuild now supports merging parallel test reports and new compute options, and this actually gives you the possibility to directly execute all of your tests in parallel. So CodeBuild can be used to fan out your unit tests or integrations that you actually run for your CI/CD pipelines, and this gives you the possibility to speed up your pipeline. Obviously, this also requires you to implement tests that can be actually executed in parallel. So there is a bunch of things that need to be done on your side as well, but I think it's a good thing and it will help you to be faster. Another thing is that AWS CodeBuild also in February announced the support for managed runners for GitLab self-managed. Previously, and we have a video on that I recorded with Raphael as well. It was only possible to use this for the GitLab.com offering. Now you can also use that in your self-managed GitLab, and this is pretty cool because a lot of organizations and enterprises actually use that. So if you look at the video that I did with Raphael, you will see that the pricing comparison it was pretty much simpler to use, cheaper to use the self-managed GitLab runners on CodeBuild. So I'll encourage you to have a look on this option as well. Another thing that they announced in February is that CodeBuild can now also be support managed webhooks in GitHub Enterprises. Previously, it was also only possible to use this on GitHub.com, but now you can also use it in the GitHub Enterprise service, and you can then directly integrate with the pushes and the pull requests that you have within your GitHub. So you can natively integrate that, and that helps you a lot to integrate that. Another thing that they announced is that AWS CodeBuild now supports Fastlane as well. So CodeBuild now supports Fastlane as well. So there is a custom build spec that you can use. You can now directly interact with Fastlane as a tool that is now pre-built into the AMIs of the CodeBuild images that are being used. So that's another integration of a third-party tool that is commonly used on building and deploying and managing mobile applications. And there is a very good blog post that talks about this and explains this a little bit better. And we stay on the macOS track. CodeBuild now supports 15.2, macOS 15.2, so they upgraded the version of macOS, and that's pretty cool, right? Because you actually can then build things for the newest macOS version as well. Another version upgrade, they upgraded the support to Node 2022 and Python 3.13 and Go 1.23. And this means that you can also build applications for newer things. So I think this is a common theme where you actually need to make sure that they regularly update the supported versions, because otherwise of the default AMIs, right? Because otherwise you're being forced to maintain your own AMIs for CodeBuild, which actually you want to avoid if you somehow can. This is a new thing where you can actually run non-container builds and on-demand fleets. So you can provision your own EC2 fleets that you can then put into CodeBuild. Into CodeBuild, you can then use those to run non-containerized builds, which can be somehow required sometimes. And if you want to build drivers or something like that, it could be really important to also get access to the host machine. And this is where this now helps organizations that want to do that. This next one from March is a possibility to register self-hosted runners at GitHub organizations or an enterprise level. This once again now gives you the possibility to run self-hosted runners also in your enterprises. So that means that you can configure that on a very high level of your organization, and you can then configure things accordingly. So this extends the already available possibility to run self-managed runners from GitHub itself. This one is a pretty new one. This means that you can now ensure that cache keys are perceived for S3. That means that it can speed up your builds because it actually downloads things from S3 and artifacts from S3 only if it really requires, and if the cache expired, this gives you more flexibility on that. I think this one we already had. There was an announcement pretty early in what we looked at where you were able to execute parallel tests. And now here you can see a blog post that actually explains you how to set up that build fan out for the builds, where you then have multiple container images running in parallel. It's going to be interesting to see if this influences the number of build minutes overall that you spend, right? Because there is a setup time for that build image that is being started. So let's see how that influences your end-to-end time frame and also your end-to-end costs that you actually get to acquired by CodeBuild. So we have seen that within the last roughly 6 weeks of 2025, there have been 8 announcements for CodeBuild, which actually shows that there is a lot of investment going into CodeBuild right now, and that the team is on fire to provision and to provide new updates for the service. And what you also see that a lot of the things that are being added are kind of making the integration of the service into other services a little bit simpler. Integration into GitHub, integrations into GitLab. Then last but not least, that Fastlane stuff that is coming. So it looks like AWS is strengthening the ecosystem of CodeBuild and making sure that they can connect to other thought providers as well. And I'm eager to see what the plans are for the service, because the more announcements we get for CodePipeline and for CodeBuild, the more these services kind of overlap with each other, and there's going to be an interesting movement to see what the strategy of devtools is going to be in AWS, and how potentially Amazon Q or another category tools will be integrated into CodeBuild, CodePipeline, and all of the other DevTools services. So thank you for watching this video. And if you have any comments or thoughts around how these announcements of a CodeBuild influence your way of working with AWS, please let me know in the comments so I can follow up with you and see if you want to be on my show to talk a little bit about your experiences with AWS CodeBuild.